Considering the sexy scenes he's read, totally 18 plus. Don't you know who you're talking to?
Daddy. Strength to hold in what is trying to get out. Okay. Temptation.
He lowers himself down between my legs and watches me closely as he pushes himself inside me. I cry out, moaning with pleasure, uncaring how feral and out of control I sound. Kyle moves slowly at first, kissing me so softly that I feel like I might explode. Then he pulls back and slams into me hard.
I shall save you all from spiders. I'm an expert trapper and releaser. That's so sweet that you release them. I murder them. All right. Hello. Good evening. I feel like this is right in my face. How are you guys doing? Thank you, Red, for that clap of thunder. I appreciate that. And even though I could have seen it show up first, I wasn't actually looking at that screen, and therefore I didn't see it coming. And I kind of went, okay. Hi, Purple. It's great to see you. Glad you're doing well. And hi, Darth. What's up? It's been a day. It's been a day. Let me, Red got me good yesterday, and so did you. Well, it's, nothing power washing. Lovely. And the author's here. Hello. Hello, Jennifer. So that little family getaway we took, right? When we got home, we walked in the back door and it was, we were just overwhelmed with this unpleasant smell. And we're like, what the heck? So I called to the company that maintains and services our AC and our furnace, and I had them come out yesterday to do an inspection to make sure that the furnace was working okay, that there was nothing wrong with the AC, all that good stuff. So that cost like $100. They couldn't find anything. They definitely smelled what we were smelling, but that was it. So we're like, okay, well, thank you. At least now we know it's not that. So then last night, my wife is like, you need to come over here. There's water on the floor. So, sure enough, there's water dripping out of the area which the guy just messed around with. So, of course, I called back the same company, was able to get them to come out today. Ended up needing to buy a maintenance package because of how much it was going to cost for this visit, plus them tinkering with stuff. And then on top of that, they were then able to thankfully inspect the air conditioning unit outside, and we noticed that it had a whole bunch of, like, I guess what you would call lint from your lint trap in your dryer, but for the AC unit. So thankfully they were able to clean that up. But the coolant liquid they use in air conditioners was really low. And I guess whoever installed it first, well, I know who installed it. The company we had come out bought out the first company. And that guy that installed it didn't fill it up properly with this liquid or whatever. So that cost another $400 on top of everything else that we paid for today. Because that stuff's ridiculously expensive. So that took like all afternoon to go through all of that conundrum. We still don't have a source for this mystery smell that keeps showing up. So now we have to get another company that we've had out before to come out and do some more work on the foundation of our house, which is going to be another $500-600. That's, yet to come. But that still won't resolve the smell. So I'm just like, I'm done. So I made my, I don't know if you're going to see this very well. It's my strawberry banana rum smoothie. And I am drinking this tonight. Hi, Gemma. Yeah, that stuff is toxic and really expensive. So sorry. It is. I mean, it's a necessary evil of owning a home, but man, when it hits hard. Okay. Have fun picking up the little one. Darth over here, redeeming first. We did $53,000 worth of stuff to our home. Well, that's a lot. Hopefully it was improvements that you could actually benefit from. Well, I was going to play my alert, but didn't seem appropriate yet. Sorry you're having a bad day? Well, yeah, when you own a home, there's always something. There is. Windows and siding. Windows and siding is something that you can see and feel and experience every day. All I'm getting out of this right now is that our air conditioner is running a bit more efficient than it was before. Hi, Kay. Kay's in the house. Whoop, whoop.
Hey, everybody. You better watch out. It's time to get funky.
That's right. And Funky's here. And Bug's here. Hello. All the cool kids. The never-ending joys of home ownership. That's right. Yes. But I've said this before in different ways, and I'll say it again. That is why nights when I get to read on stream to all of you are so important to me. Because, this is, as much as it can be relaxing for everybody else, it's just as relaxing and beneficial for me. So, I need that just as much as everybody else. We still need to do our gutters and roof, but that's a while down the road. Hey, one step at a time. That's... Windows and siding is no small feat, so good job on that. Good for you. Here's your puzzle of choice this evening if you wish to get involved. It's a cool looking house with a really cool night sky kind of thing going on. I thought it would be interesting. So there you go. That's why I picked it. Why do I have messages? Hold on. Hold the phone. What? That's weird. My pharmacy is telling me I have a prescription ready to pick up. But I already picked up my prescriptions. So, I don't know. Twisters, hi. What's up? How are you? Welcome in. Oh, okay. Puzzle's ready. We got the tunes going. You doing fine? Good. How are you? I'm okay. I'm gonna be fine. Today was just a lot. Today was an expensive day, and not in a fun way. So we'll get over it. We'll get past it, and I'll get past the next bill that's coming too. It's just one of those things, but we'll be fine. That's why I have my delicious smoothie right here. We built so everything in our house is the same age. We've been in the process of remodeling and updating things in the house. Yes. When we first moved into this house, I shouldn't say first moved in, shortly after we moved in, we replaced the furnace, the water heater, and the AC unit pretty much at the same time, like all within a year of each other. I mean, I get what you mean. I love that you can be positive about stressful situations. I have to try. Believe me, at one point today, I really debated on just not streaming, not caring, not doing anything. Just crawling into bed and saying goodnight. But I know that being here is just as helpful for me as it has been for others. So I forced myself, and here I am. And I'm better for it. I'm better for it. Right. So, tunes are up, puzzles going. Let's move over to our reading page. I have the book right here, Awakening. If any of you are interested in this book, please type in !Awakening. The author is here with us tonight. Yes, indeed. Oh, and I also added a new sound command. Per request, I will not say from whom, because it doesn't matter. But this is the requested sound.
Hey, aren't you a good girl?
Indeed. Still taking it easy as I bounce back. Yes, and Red started streaming, everybody. Special announcement. Red Thorn has finally started streaming. So if you haven't followed that lovely gentleman, please do so. Shout out Red. Shout out Red. Shout out Red. I don't know if he has any clips yet, though. Because he is literally very new. But the clips will come. The clips will come. Either way. He's a good guy. He's helped me on stream many times. And we've also read together as well. On a couple of occasions. Which was really fun. We did some short stories. Hand-picked by Red. In fact, one of the short stories has turned into a book, which I have on my desk. Once we finish this one, we have one more, and then after that one, we're going to get to the book that we did a short story of. So, lots of words to catch up on in the coming future. Mad Locust, hello. How are you? Okay, where were we? Right. So this book, as a reminder, has 3 parts. We are in part 3. And we're at that point. It's 2 a.m. Yeah, I know. You're getting ready to crash. And I'm surprised you're even here. But if I can help lull you to sleep, I will. We're in that phase of the reading process where what we have left is way thinner than what we've read. It's always a sad moment. It's great because we get to find out how it ends. But yet, sad because it means it's ending. Okay. on that note, I hope you're ready. I know I am. Tonight, we start out with Chapter 3 of Part 3, page 244 in the printed copy. And, yeah. Let's see how it goes. My number one bedtime story streamer. Stop it. That's very kind of you. I hope I can help. All right, here we go. Chapter 3. The car hummed along the road. Warm air rushed in through the open windows as I watched the gentle glide of the hills bend and ripple in the sunlight. The landscape was lush and enveloping, invoking inspiration, and I longed to lose myself in clay once more. August rested his hand over mine, slipping into my thoughts. I am taking you to this really wonderful shop in Rome. It has all the art supplies you need. I turned to him with a soft smile. And then we can make a day of it. Of course. He glanced over at me with a twinkle in his eye. Rome is your oyster, Jezebel. So, if anyone needs a quick recap, they moved. And they landed in Italy. This is current day Jezebel, by the way. Boarding his private jet. Small break in the story. And here we go. Surrounded by a foreign language, Rome transfixed me with its antique stone and marble archways, as twisted pines towered above us like peculiar, misplaced sentinels. We spent the day walking among the narrow streets. The scent of the cannoli and coffee drifted through the open cafes as August showed me around. We stopped by the Trevi Fountain, a stunning Baroque sculpture which towered above multiple cascading rivers of water, spilling out into a large pool. Its depths glittered with coins. He took me to see the staggering beauty of the Colosseum, its rich history preserved within the ancient limestone. We meandered through the Vatican City, where the impressive curvature of St. Peter's Basilica loomed above it. Just nailing it tonight already. Loomed above us. Hey, Stunt Papa. What's up, sir? How are you? There was a mythical timelessness about Rome that, despite its crowds of hungry tourists armed with cameras, I fell instantly in love. Doing well, how you doing? It's been an expensive day of household repairs. Yeah, but otherwise, doing okay. I hope you've had a good day. The sun had slowly sunk beneath the buildings, showering the cobblestones in pastel hues that danced with the lengthened shadows of the day as we walked arm in arm through the streets. Faint notes of music floated through the open doorways. This is the time when the city comes alive. Really? I threaded my fingers through his, gazing out toward the Tiber River as the streetlights flickered on, reflecting off the water in bands of shimmering color. Yes, August shot me a playful wink. Romans love to celebrate the night. Oof, household repairs are painful sometimes. Yeah, it's been okay. I turned on the wrong burner to make some ramen. When I made a glass baking dish explode. Oh, wow, I bet that was a fright. 2 hours to clean it up. Other than that, not a bad day. Well, at least no one got hurt, I guess. Tell you what, I bet that scared the poop out of everybody. And now, Stunt Mama's mama knows. stopped to lean against the railings of a footbridge as the glow of the evening slipped over us. Pulling August close to me, I reached up to run my fingers across the light stubble that had begun to grow along his jawline. "Do you feel like dancing tonight?" He raised an eyebrow at me. "What do you have in mind, Jezebel?" "I don't know. Let's go see what we can find." Grabbing his hand, I dragged him enthusiastically down the street, weaving through a narrow alleyway. We brushed past a family, a beautiful woman with skin the color of caramel and a baby at her breast. A man walked beside her with 2 young boys in tow, their youthful squeals of laughter echoing off the bricks. I turned for a moment, watching them as they blended into the city streets and disappeared from my line of sight. Something churned within me, a longing for a family I realized I may never have. I knew that August was not capable of giving me a child, and I had accepted that. But I still could not push away the sudden ache in my chest. Faint tears hovered just below the surface, and I blinked them back, not wanting to expose the delicate truth which had abruptly tumbled to the surface, unannounced and full of longing. I wanted to be a mother. "Jezebel, what's wrong?" August's hand fell on my back, noticing my sudden shift. I gave him a small smile, attempting to regain my composure with the gentle sweep of my hand. "Oh, it's just the family we passed. They looked really sweet." August stopped walking and pulled me closer, cupping my face tenderly in his hands. "I am sorry I'm unable to give you that." His eyes searched mine, full of a remorse that curled heavily beneath his gaze. "The last thing I ever want is for you to give up something that is important to you." I ran my hand down his chest, resting it over the strident beat of his heart. "I'm not. You are important to me, August. You are what I want." August's face filled with a sudden sorrow. "But is it enough, Jezebel?" I nodded. "You are already more than I ever thought possible." Locking eyes with him, a silence washed over us, filled with the tangled breath of love's compromise. "Do you ever think about what it would be like if you hadn't lost your child?" Or wait, no, that was her. Sorry. "Do you ever think about what it would be like if you hadn't lost your child?" The question crept out of me, cautious and delicate, breaking the stillness between us. August sighed and glanced up at the darkened sky, which trembled with the faint light of stars above us. "Every day, Jezebel." I squeezed his hand and drew him close to me, resting my head on his shoulders as we continued walking. The somber mood that had settled over us was broken by the infectious pulse of percussion and horn. My heart stirred in excitement as a familiar sound threaded through an open doorway, and I pulled August closer to it. "Salsa club?" I peered into the dimly lit room, a flicker of reluctance washing over his face as he took in the flashing lights and the forms of bodies moving at a feverish pace across the dance floor. "Something tells me you're not much of a clubber." I grinned playfully at him. Bending down, he placed a kiss upon my neck, lightly nipping at the skin and causing a shiver to slide down my back. "No, I'm not. But for you, I will always make an exception." "Mama House Gaming." "Hi." I was glad to catch some of your stream today. It was kind of a rough day. Let's just put it that way. But yeah, it was nice to sit in there for a few minutes while I could. With his hand at my hip, I led him down the stairs and into the club, my body humming with the rich notes that rolled through me like liquid, igniting that flame in my gut, the one I had not felt in years. We made our way through the press of moving bodies and over to the bar, where I rested my arms against the shiny metal countertop. "What would you like to drink, amor mio?" His breath was warm in my ear. "Surprise me." August nodded and signaled for the bartender, bending over the counter and speaking to him in Italian. A glass slid toward me, and I took a sip. Cool mint glided against my tongue, punctuated by notes of lime. August sat beside me, his fingers trailing over the light condensation of the glass of whiskey as he glanced around, taking in the flashy sequin dresses of the women as they whipped across the room by their partners. Moving closer to him, I spoke into his ear. "I take it you've never danced salsa before?" August shot me a mischievous look. "Oh, I never said that." He suddenly grabbed me around the waist and swung me onto the dance floor. His movements were fluid and graceful. Okay, the guy's from like the year 1300. I'm quite sure he's danced basically everything. My drink doesn't have mints and lemon and lime and all that, but it does taste delicious. My feet struggled to remember the steps and to keep up with him as he twirled me across the room, taking the lead. Eventually, I found my pace, and we glided together, sensual and effortless. It had been so long since I had danced like this. Laughter bubbled up from my mouth, effervescent and full of an energy that made me feel buoyant. "Jesus, August, is there anything you can't do?" He slowed his pace for a moment, pulling me tight against him as his hand snaked slowly up my thigh, his fingers teasing my skin through the light fabric of my skirt. "Sing. I happen to be a terrible singer, Jezebel." With a wide grin, he twirled me out before drawing me close once more. "Oh, and I do not know how to ride a bike." Well, that's just sad. "Can't ride a bike, huh?" I shot him a playful smile. "That I have to see." August chuckled. "I fear it will not end well." His fingers lightly rested against my lips, his eyes pulling me into his depths as the room fell away from me. "And when did you get so good at salsa?" Memories flooded me as I recalled that young girl fresh out of high school, dropping into classes, hoping to still the restlessness within her. I took lessons years ago, back when I lived in Boston. August dipped me slowly, his hand seductively running down the length of my back as his lips trailed up to my neck, hovering against my ear. "Well then, we will definitely have to go out dancing more often." The lights flickered around us as the music grew louder, drowning out our words until all that remained was vibrant rhythmic sound and the feel of him as he lithely guided me across the floor. I allowed all else to slip away, losing myself to a dance that our bodies both knew, limbs entangled like a language spoken through the heat of our skin. We have another break in the story. This one's a little bit longer. Those strawberry banana mix. It's just delicious. Okay, focused. The days wove themselves into a seamless, dreamlike state. I spent much of my time outside, tending to the vineyards with August. We would work alongside each other while the insistent ring of cicadas filled the mid-afternoon air and the hot Mediterranean sun beat against my back, turning my skin a light golden brown. When the heat of the day became too much, I would retreat to the cool shadows of the house and slip upstairs into my studio. My hands moved across the clay, dipping my fingers ever so often into the bowl of water beside me, turning the sensation into silk against my skin. I glanced out the window to see August below, walking among the vineyards with the sloping gait of a dog following behind him like a shadow. Mr. Thomas, what's up, man? How you doing? I have not been in any of your streams lately because timing has just been poor. And I don't like that. So please accept my apology. I'm glad you're here. And I'm going to make a better effort to be present when you're live, because I appreciate your streams. The dog had shown up at the house a few weeks before. A scrawny, timid little thing with wiry hair and a limp in his back leg. His sad brown eyes watching us from the shadows of the foliage in the courtyard. I had begun to leave scraps outside on the front porch for him, and within days, he was following us around everywhere. We called him amico, the Italian word for friend. No need to apologize, life goes on outside of Twitch. Yeah, it does, but I still like to be there for people, and when I can, even if it just means showing up, saying hi, and then just listening in the background, because, you know, this thing called a job and work keeps rearing its head. I don't know. I have also not been here super consistently outside of lurking, being super busy and super tired. I really appreciate you. I get it, man. I really do. I'm glad you're here. Please get comfortable. The sound of the door shutting downstairs jarred me from my focus. The soft, muffled tones of August's voice, followed by the click of Amico's toenails on the marbled tile, filtered in through the floorboards beneath me. I stared at the sculpture I was working on. A woman heavy with child, her arms wrapped around her belly, eyes closed with a look of serenity upon her face. Ever since our night together in Rome, I had been having dreams of being pregnant, and when I awoke, I was always filled with a foolish sense of hope, as if the very act of dreaming could bring forth a child. I'm really glad that that's not how it works. Holy cow. I sighed and stood to stretch my body. From the open window, I looked out to the horizon, growing soft with color. The air smelled sweet as the ripening of grapes of the vine mixed with the wet earth enveloped the room around me. I found August in the kitchen, the rich aroma of sautéed onions filling the room. "What are you making?" I rose on tiptoes to plant a kiss on the back of his neck. He smelled of the earth and sunshine. A cold, wet nose touched my leg, and I looked down to find Amico standing beside me. Bending down, I rubbed the tawny scruff around his neck. "Linguine with shrimp." He gave me a warm smile as he tossed some vegetables into the pan. The loud sizzle startled Amico, causing him to dart suddenly into the living room. I leaned against the counter and watched August. Our days outside had turned his olive complexion a deep shade of brown, and his wind-blown hair fell in tousled waves against his cheekbones. He had long ago traded his finely pressed suits for casual slacks and linen shirts, which he always wore rolled up, showing his muscular width of his arms, the fine hairs bleached by the sun. He looked rugged and earthy, and I suddenly wanted to skip dinner. Why does watching you cook always turn me on? August chuckled and shot me a playful wink. Perhaps it is because you desire a man who knows how to satisfy your appetite. In more ways than one, I added with a seductive smile, walking over to the cupboard and grabbing a wine glass from the top shelf. Tika, what's up, dude? I'm so sorry the birthday stream for Madam didn't really go as planned. That was just really unfortunate. Just got a message here. Just want to make sure it's not vital. Got it. Now I've lost my place. Fantastic. Oh wait, no, I'm good. I found it. The deep red... Okay, hold on. What? The deep red what? Casanas del Piglio? Casanas del Piglio? No worries, that was all me. I should have started testing everything in the morning. Don't worry about it. Technology happens. It's just the way it is. Hopefully she had a good time, and I'm glad she was surprised. I just saw your message. It's an Italian wine. The deep red Casens de Piglio. Focus. Trickled into my glass. A 20-year-old vintage wine I had found in the cellar the day before. The lush fragrance of oak and chocolate filled my senses as I took a sip. Chocolate. I'm so glad you didn't give August that accent. Jezebel. My dear sweet Jezebel. Yeah, right. You might have had a few comments to leave if that were the case. So, I have a business meeting out in New York with the Metropolitan Museum of Art in a few days. And a froggy throat, apparently. It's not doing it for you? I can't imagine why. I think it's amazing. I stared at him. How is it that I didn't know you worked for them? It occurred to me that there was so much I still didn't know about August. While he had slowly let me into the intimate spaces of his heart, there were still hidden rooms, places he would go on occasion, times when his eyes would become distant, a million miles away from me. I don't work for them so much as I work with them, August replied, taking a sip of wine from his glass. I provide a lot of their arts funding. And all these funds of yours. I swept my arm out toward the window, the gathering dusk obscuring the view. I can't imagine the vineyard alone makes up for all the money you have. He gave a small smile and wiped his hands on a dish towel, crossing the room to where I stood and placing his hands on my waist. Hundreds of years of merchant trade have helped as well as the invention of the stock market. Money is a dance, and once you learn the moves, it can flow quite effortlessly for you. He placed his lips against my ear, his breath sending tingles along my spine. Would you like to come with me? A part of me did, while another part was itching to finish my sculpture. I felt that if I left the piece half finished, I would lose my momentum. August looked at me. You want to stay, don't you? I nodded and wrapped my arms around his shoulders. I love it so much here. I don't want to leave. I smiled up at him teasingly. Plus, I think I could use some time without distraction. August leaned down and playfully nipped at my neck, his voice a deep chuckle. Oh, I'm sorry. Have I become a distraction for you? His fingers inched themselves up my shirt, lightly grazing my breasts, which felt swollen and ached beneath his touch. I let out a breathless laugh as his lips trailed down my chest. A little, yes. August gently backed me against the counter, his breath hot in my ear, while his hands trailed down my stomach and into the waistband of my skirt. I suppose I will just have to stop distracting you so much then. He teased me with his fingers, which slipped themselves downward and brushed against my underwear, inciting a warm rush of desire to course through me. Please don't, I moaned, pulling him closer to me and arching my hips against his hand, wanting more. I always wanted more with him. Suddenly, the faint tinge of smoke filled the air. August! I gasped as his fingers slipped their way into me. The food is burning. Releasing me, he moved to turn off the burner, holding the pan with the charred remains of our dinner. I hope you weren't terribly hungry? He asked, walking over to me with a sheepish smile and setting the pan on the counter. No, I said, laughing as I pulled him to me. I wasn't really in the mood for dinner anyway. Oh, good, August said with a playful grin as he lifted me up onto the counter, his lips falling against my neck while his hands tangled in my hair. Okay. Quite the dinner. Looks like they're having dessert first, you know what I'm saying? Alright, we have another break in the story. It's a longer break. Garrar. I stood out in the driveway while August's taxi idled behind us. Early morning dew hovered on the grass, and the sky was just beginning to spread her colors across the landscape. I'm going to miss you. August bent down and placed a soft, lingering kiss upon my lips. I will be back in a few days. I watched as he disappeared down the slope of the valley, the taxi leaving behind a trail of dust. Looking down, I found Amiko standing beside me. Well, looks like it's just you and me now, buddy. And with a gentle click of my tongue, he followed me back into the house. That afternoon, I tried to focus on my sculpture, but a persistent wave of nausea clawed at me. Retreating down to the kitchen to find something to settle my stomach, I wondered what it was I could have eaten the night before. Or if I was possibly coming down with something. Not finding anything helpful in the kitchen, I grabbed the car keys off the counter and headed out the door. Marcelina was a 20-minute drive through the open countryside, nestled on the gentle slope of a hill. Lining the quaint, narrow cobblestone streets were small shops tucked into the old stone buildings. Parking the car, I ducked into a market looking for ginger. I walked through the produce section, running my hand over the vibrant array of fruit neatly displayed in wicker baskets and placing a few that caught my eye into my cart. As I continued down the aisles, I stopped in front of the feminine products, and a jolt washed over me as I suddenly realized that I had not had my period this month. I glanced over the narrow boxes of the home pregnancy tests, the optimistic pink script staring at me like a question. Though I knew it couldn't be possible, I found myself placing one in my cart anyway, before trailing to the checkout line. Back at the house, my heart stilled and a rush of disbelief washed over me as I stood in the bathroom and stared down at the white stick suspended on the counter, watching as two faint but decipherable lines appeared. Dun dun dun. And that is the end of chapter 3 of part 3. Oh boy. The unspeakable, the impossible, is somehow probable? It's just not possible. Or is it? Clap softly, thank you. But how, we ask? How indeed? Well, Jennifer, when a man and a woman, usually, come together, and they really like each other, sometimes they end up back at someone's house or place. Sometimes it's in a car, it doesn't really matter. And what basically happens is they really like each other, like, whew. One thing leads to another. And then, poof, you're peeing on a white stick. Or in a bar or in the plane. Yes, if you're going for the Mile High Club. Yeah. I don't know if I'm ready for this. That's all there is to it, huh? Yep, that's pretty much it. You don't have to do anything else. You may,
Hey, aren't you a good girl?
That's right. You may even have a dream about it, and apparently that might do it. That's all there is to it. Oh, gosh. Let's focus, people. Let's do some shout-outs, shall we? Because we have some cool people in the group, and I don't want to miss an opportunity to spread some love.
Daddy.
Carly. Fingers ready? Fantastic. Can we please get a shout out for Mama House Gaming? We also need one for Darth. We need one for Mr. Thomas. For Funky, for Gemma.
Why's it always gotta go?
Is there anybody I missed? Purple?
Oh,
Need one for
great.
Purple.
What the oh, Jesus. What is this shit?
Cat's on guard. Darth, that laugh was pure evil. There's Mr. Thomas. Look at that stud.
Nope, that didn't work.
Oh, this is when Funky and Zebra streamed together. I think you did, Purple. Thank you. She has to pee.
So much water and I can't.
You blind?
What?
Oh, these things right here. You don't
Oh
see them?
my god. There was like a sec.
Yeah.
Nobody saw that. There was a second pile. Okay, hold on.
Thanks, friend. Borrow time. Do. Where is
Hey,
she?
not all heroes wear capes, but I certainly
How-
do.
How come I can't drop you?
You press R.
Yeah, it's hard.
Hold
Oh.
R. Hold R while standing still.
Okay. You ready?
Yep.
Oh, sorry.
Let's pump this gen out.
Oh, okay. Snowman! Right by the main building. Oh!
What do you need?
And oh yeah?
Oh yeah?
Those girls. I shouted out Inside again because she and Carly are playing Sea of Thieves together right now. I need to remove that clip. Can I try again? Yeah, of course. Go for it. Gopher. Get it? Go for it. Okay. I'm done. That was my one and only joke for the night.
What? Unmodding Darth? No! No, we're not unmodding Darth. No!
No.
Oh. It wasn't
no, we're
that
not
button.
banning Darth. We're not. No.
Tree. Oh.
And we died. Well, I died.
Why did you fly into a tree? Just curious. Why is that a clip? I don't know. This girl is on fire. Kraken was and he bailed? Oh, jeez. Lovely. I trust him with a plane, but I don't know if I trust him with a helicopter. Not after I watched that. Just saying. My delicious rum drink is almost gone. Alright. Thank you for doing those shoutouts. I appreciate it. Okay. My goodness, we're on page 253. Chapter 4 of Part 3. I've said this before, but I'm going to say it again. I really like the font that's being used. You can see it on the front cover. It's the same font that's also in the chapter titles. I know you can see it on screen, but that's such a cool font. And I believe you told me you had to pay for it separately. It's not a font you could just, download or get from Word or something. It was worth it. I've got to remember to buy this book. You will not be disappointed. Most of the time, you're going to want to make sure you read it by yourself. You know what I'm saying? You have to scour the internet for that one. It was a good scour. Looks pretty artistic. It is. All right. Reading time. Chapter 4, page 253. Here we go. I spent the next few days gulping down copious amounts of ginger tea, trying to quell my morning sickness. Jason, I literally have no one here, except my dog. Oh, well then, read it wherever you want. Just be prepared. The bathroom sink was littered with tests, all of them staring up at me with their various forms of positive results, double lines, plus signs, and even a few digital ones with the word pregnant flickering in black letters upon the display. The same question kept running through my mind on an endless loop. How is this even possible? August had clearly explained why I would be unable to have a child with him. The composition of her blood was inherently different, making conception impossible between us. But what if it wasn't so different? Another thought pressed against me, obscure but unrelenting nonetheless. Could this have something to do with his wife? Had she somehow given me more than just her name? Full of disbelief, my hand slid down to my belly as I stared at my reflection in the mirror, envisioning myself growing ample with life, with the delicate movement of a child within me. My heart quickened as these thoughts swirled around me like a beautiful, buried dream, suddenly unearthed and full of promise. Filled with an overwhelming wonder, the sharp sting of tears pressed against my eyes. Maybe put the dog outside, lol. Really go crazy? Oh, purple. We have a short break in the story. I'm immune to such books. Well. Yeah, this book is tame compared to some of the stuff out there. Well, yeah, maybe, but doesn't mean it's not worth it. Right, moving on. We have a short paragraph and then another break. A longer break. The days passed. Suspended in a state of languid elation, I eagerly awaited August's return. Though we had spoken on the phone, I wanted to tell him in person. So I carried the secret within me, curled tight like a beautiful bud of a flower, longing to awaken itself to the sun. And there's that longer break that I mentioned. Sunlight streamed in through the bedroom window as I placed one of the tests upon August's pillow, like a clandestine surprise. Surprised he will be. The frantic barking of Amiko startled me, and I looked out the window to see a car making its way up the steep driveway. My heart leapt, and I rushed down the stairs, my eagerness to greet August like that of a child on Christmas morning. I watched him as he stepped out of the taxi and turned to pay the driver, chuckling over some shared joke between them as Amiko excitedly darted in between his legs. Then, his arms were around me, strong and solid, pulling me so effortlessly into the space that belonged to him alone. I breathed in the musk of his skin, his suit smelling of travel, the faint remnants of airports and coffee. "How was the trip?" I asked, nuzzling against his neck. August led me into the house, shutting the door behind us. "It was long, but productive." Bending down, he drew me into a heavy kiss, pressing me up against the door. "God, how I have missed you." His words sent deep brushstrokes of desire sweeping up my limbs as his hands slipped slowly down to my waist, grasping me firmly. That was when I noticed a small purple bruise on his neck. I tentatively reached my fingers up to touch it. "What's this from?" August looked down at me, discomfort flickering across his face for a moment. "I believe that knowing the answer to that will not serve you in any way right now." "What the hell is that supposed to mean?" My voice grew sharp, and I gripped his shoulders tightly. He pulled himself away, moving to the kitchen to pour himself a glass of water from the tap. "August, tell me." I stood rigid in the doorway with my arms crossed, watching him. "I suppose it was from someone who apparently got a little too carried away during embrace. You were with a woman on your trip? My heart began to accelerate, its frantic pulse like a muffled rush in my ears. The calm look August gave me was unnerving. Yes, I was with a woman. His words hit me like a punch to my gut, and a wave of nausea overcame me. Moving closer to me, his voice grew soft. I thought I had explained this, Jezebel. He reached out to cup my face, his thumb slowly stroking down my cheek. I do not want to risk depleting you, and I want the occasional brace to be an intimate part of deepening our connection together, not a necessity I need to fill. I would no longer take from you in that way. You mean so much more to me than that. I yanked myself away from his touch. Though his words were filled with tenderness, the sharp pang of jealousy curled around me, and venom coated my tongue. I am very curious as to why you didn't heal that little love bite of yours. Do you get off on flaunting your escapades? August sighed, giving me a tired look. Honestly, I did not know it was there. But even if I did, I would not hide it from you. Oh, really? I feel like she's doing one of these. Like getting back to her East Coast. Anyway. Glaring at him, the space between us suddenly felt heavy and endless. What about all those times you went into town? Were you just going there to fuck around with women? Jezebel. August's eyes grew steely. I do not fuck around. Bullshit. I spat at him. Why can't you just go to a blood bank or something to get your fill there? Why doesn't embrace have to be so damn sexual with you? Oh, hi, Amless. You came in at a fun time. Have I not explained this process of how this works clearly enough? It is not the blood I need. It is the energy held within it, which is only accessed through arousal and orgasm. I could detect a wave of frustration flicker across his face as he spoke. Can you find another way? This just feels so sleazy to me. Sleazy? August shot me an amused look. Well, you certainly didn't seem to think so back when you would come to me. Fuck you. My words were like bullets aiming at him. He shook his head, his face growing hard while a darkness gathered in his eyes. Jealousy is not a pretty color on you, Jezebel. The biggest mistake one can make is when they try and shackle love. Oh, so I'm shackling you now. Go to hell. I whirled away from him and stormed out the door, slamming it behind me. Tears obscured my vision as I stumbled into the vineyard. My emotions vacillated between dejection and anger, and my heart painfully constricted as I realized that there would always be a divide between us. Places I could never go with him, things we would never share together. I sunk down among the grapevines and let the tears flow down my face as the soft mulch of the ground beneath stained my knees with dirt. I heard the crunch of twigs and looked up to see August walking towards me, his hands held out in a gesture of defeat. I am sorry, Jezebel. I am unaccustomed to this. Vincent! What's up, man? You came in at a lover's quarrel, which is, you know, it's always a good time. Good to see you, man. How you doing? I snorted, furiously brushing the tears from my cheeks. Unaccustomed to what, August? He furrowed his brow, a look of confusion etched deeply upon his face. To the intensity of these negative emotions between us. A morose chuckle escaped me, my voice dripping with sarcasm. It's called having a fight. You telling me you've never had one with your wife? August shook his head at me. No, we never fought. That's a miracle. Good was watching Penny Dreadful Season 1. I have no idea what that is, but I hope it was great. He crouched down, took my hand in his, squeezing softly. The ceremony of marriage between us involved a sharing of our essence. When one's essence is shared with another, communication and understanding flow freely, and there is no longer any separation between two people. Tears welled within me once more, and I choked back the lump in my throat. That's just it. I want that with you. I do as well. His hand reached out to wipe a stray tear that had gathered beneath my eye. The last thing I ever want to do is hurt you. And I know that this reality between us is going to be hard for you to adjust to. His eyes searched mine, the faint glint of tears dancing within. I believe I may not have handled myself very eloquently back there. This is all new territory for me as well. You see, my wife and I, we always embraced givers together. Glancing up into the bottomless blue of the afternoon sky, I drew in a deep, shuddering breath. As much as I had accepted the ghost of his wife who silently sat beside us, it still hurt to hear him speak of her, to know that they must have shared together, transcended anything I could offer him. Jezebel. He reached out and softly took my chin, drawing me into the vibrant depths of his gaze. Please do not go there. Reading my mind again? I smirked. No, I am reading your energy. Tangling his fingers into my hair, he drew me close to him. I do not want insecurity to come between us. You have all of me. Ensnared in emotions I could barely define, my voice came out breathless. You promise? August placed the warmth of his lips upon my forehead, his voice a soothing whisper against my skin. I promise. Trailing his fingers down my cheek, he pierced me with a questioning look. Would it help if you were a part of the embrace somehow? I stared at him in surprise. What, like a threesome? August shook his head. Not exactly, but I suppose in a way you could call it that, since it would be a sharing of intimacy between multiple people. Do you think that is something you would possibly be open to? My mouth. Perfect. Is Stunt Mama here? I feel like that might have happened because she showed up. My mouth pulled itself into an uneasy smile. Although unsure as to what that would entail being with August had opened my mind to things I had never thought imaginable. Maybe I'll have to think about it. August nodded as he stood and reached his hand down, lifting me onto my feet into the warmth of his arms. I clung to him as everything drained from me. Jeez, Darth, I was focused. Thanks, buddy. The tangled weight of my emotions dissipating into the air around us, leaving a momentary lightness behind. Tipping my head back, he ran his thumb along my jawline, his eyes heavy. I want you to know that you do not shackle me. You deeply fulfill me, in ways I never thought I could feel again, and in ways I have never felt before. My love for you engulfs me, Jezebel. Yeah, I was focused on the story and came in and went, boo, I almost peed. Yeah. His words surrounded me in warmth as I found his lips, his hands round down my back, drawing me closer to him, and causing breath to hitch in my throat as his mouth pressed softly against my neck. You encompass all my desire, amor mio. August's voice was a husky growl against my skin, causing a deep burning ache to bloom within me. I pulled him to the ground, a sudden longing for him taking over as I feverishly unbuttoned his pants, wanting somehow to claim him for my own, to obliterate all the tangled differences that crept between us.
Is it hot in here? Are you hot? I mean, you are hot. I mean...
Good timing, Vincent. Thank you very much. Jezebel. My name was a soft exhale as August rolled me onto my back with a groan, the cool mud squelching underneath us as his hands devoured my skin. His eyes flashed with a heat that made my head swim as he plunged himself inside me, bringing forth an impassioned cry that tumbled from my lips. My entire body surged with pleasure as he touched my depths, releasing me from the confinements of myself as we fell against the places hidden, allowing our bodies to articulate all the things unsaid. The rich scent of wet earth clung to our skin as we grappled and collided into each other with an urgent hunger. His thrusts fervent and untamed like a wild animal as the sky spun above us, reckless and untethered. And then there's a small break in the story, because can't stay outside forever. We bounded up the stairs and into the bathroom together, peeling off our mud-soaked clothes and stepping into the soothing warmth of the shower. Rivulets of earth ran down my skin and into the drain below. My body was engulfed in steam and in the silky feel of August's hands as he tenderly lathered me with soap, slowly sliding up my curves and gently pulling out bits of dried leaves from my hair. I closed my eyes and rested my head against the shower wall, sinking into the leisurely feel of his touch as he tended to me like something exquisite and treasured. I was in the bathroom toweling off when August appeared fully clothed in the doorway. In his hand, he held the test I had left on the pillow, a look of confusion and shock written across his face. What is this, Jezebel? What it is the end of chapter 4. That's what it is. So they had their first, real married couple fight. Which, I mean, it was a... If you're going to fight over something, that would be it, right? They had made-up sex outside in the vineyard. Then they got showered. And then boom goes the dynamite. August finds the pregnancy test. Oh boy. Ooh, I gotta finish the last of this before it gets too warm. Makeup sex is the best. I'll agree to disagree. How about that? I'll agree to disagree. Yes, it is. I say it's just all good. It's all good. I think you may need a refill there, buddy. Yeah, I know. I'm unfortunately gonna have to just switch over to good old water. But it's fine. It was a delicious fruit smoothie drink. The recipe is quite simple. Frozen strawberries, frozen bananas, a few chunks of ice. I add Crystal Light grape flavored water to give it some, liquid to mix around with. And I add in a raspberry rum. Blend it all together. And voila. Delicious. So responsible of you? Well, sometimes I know when enough is enough. Sometimes. Not all the time. But in this case, nailed it. Okay. Is everyone doing all right? Everyone calm, cool, collected, etc., etc.? Thank you, Vincent, for linking the TV series for me. I will check it out. No, I am not okay. Darth, I'm fine. Joke, I'm just a little warm. Yeah. It is getting hot in here. It's warm in here too, actually, I'm not gonna lie. I am quite heated. Whew. I'm only wearing shorts and a shirt. I mean... It's on Paramount Plus since they teamed up with Showtime now. We tried Paramount Plus for a while. There just wasn't much on there that really drew us in, so we got rid of it. But there might be another way for me to check it out. I shall investigate. Okay, what time is it? 8:16. Fantastic. Plenty of time. Quick question, because I'm forgetting now, and I should have written it down somewhere by my desk. Jennifer, if you can hear me. Was it page 289 was the first thing I needed to watch out for? Was that what you said? I'm completely blanking now. I'm pretty sure that was the first. Which we're not there yet, but I'm just keeping it in the back of my head so I don't forget. Oh, I felt good. Good stretch. Yeah, so for those of you wondering what on earth I am talking about, there will be a couple of quick, slight trigger things show up later in the story. They're not like as intense as, you know, what we've experienced before. So I'm not too concerned about them. I just wanted to make people aware that stuff was coming up. But again, it's not for... We got pages before anything's going to happen. Lost connection, what did I miss? Anything after the chapter ended? No, we're just chatting. We're just chatting. You're good. Let's see. Yeah, so, like I said, they're not huge triggers by any means. At least that I can tell. Our warning alert. Let's all be adults here, no giggling. Like if you remember from the beginning of the story, the modern day Jezebel lost her parents and she has scars. I'm pretty sure that gets brought up again in a bit more detail about the actual accident and something that happened, or the event that unfolded. But like I said, it's not the kind of trigger that's going to make you go, oh my gosh, we need to skip it. So I think we're okay there. So anyway, we got time. I just wanted to try and remember. We are on chapter 5, page 260. Here we go. I wrapped the towel around me and stepped closer to August. Taking his hand, I placed it onto the soft curve of my belly. I'm pregnant. His brow furrowed. I do not understand how that is possible. I shook my head. I don't understand it either, but I took about 100 home pregnancy tests and apparently I am very much pregnant. But what would compel you to buy such a thing? He looked shell-shocked, his hand frozen on my stomach. The day you left, I started to feel a little unqueasy, so I went into town looking for something to settle my stomach. I picked up on impulse when I realized I hadn't had my period this month. When a man and a woman love each other, yes. Or sometimes when they don't. Why didn't you tell me this sooner, Jezebel? I wanted to surprise you? I looked up at him with a tentative smile, drawing him closer. His hands felt stiff as they settled on my back. We just got a bit derailed when you came home. Yes, we did. August's eyes were distant, and I struggled to read the emotion hovering within him as a sharp wave of panic coursed through me. August, you don't seem very happy about this. He stepped away from me, running his hands through his hair. I'm not quite sure what to feel right now. He shot me a look as a faint sliver of discomfort pierced the depths of his eyes. Are you absolutely sure it's mine? Okay. For a guy that's been living for 1,300 years, he still hasn't learned a lot. Jesus Christ, August. Of course it's yours. Sorry. It's just too funny because anyway. I can literally see this conversation in the bathroom, and it's like, holy cow. All right, game face. I stared at him in disbelief. This was not going the way I had imagined it. I had envisioned him being elated, a bit shocked, but happy. Instead, he just stood there with a wide-eyed, glazed look. He took me by the shoulders, gripping me tightly. Please, forgive me. I need a moment. Releasing me, he walked down the hallway until all I could hear was the steady thump of his feet on the stairs and then the click of the front door closing. In a state of stunned confusion, I made my way into our bedroom, watching out the window as the form of August came into view. He strode at a fast pace through the vineyards and over the hill, with Amiko bounding after him. I lay myself upon the bed. Tears formed at the corners of my eyes once more, slipping in a lazy trail down my cheeks. So many emotions from this afternoon had ripped away at me, leaving me raw and shaky. The blow-up in the kitchen, our fevered lovemaking in the vineyard, and now this. Fear coiled in my gut at the thought of him not wanting to have this child with me. Had I been a fool to assume otherwise? How much did I really know about August and the kind of life he wanted? These questions tore into me with a relentless grip, and I curled myself deep into the blankets, allowing the full force of my tears to consume me. I wept until the heaviness of my own spent emotions finally succumbed to exhaustion, and then to the weightlessness hold of sleep. Well, way to go, August. Nailed it. Small break in the story, as you could imagine. If there was any time for a break, it would definitely be right now. A gentle hand on my back startled me awake. The room was dark, and through the open window I could hear a chorus of crickets in the distance. August slipped underneath the covers beside me and pulled me close, the warmth of his breath fanning on the back of my neck. The cool night air clung to his clothes, chilling my skin as his hand trailed down to my abdomen. There is nothing I want more than to have this child with you, Jezebel. Nobody gets to sleep when there's a baby. I realized I had been holding my breath, and I released it in one long sigh, turning over to face him in the pale shadowed light of the room. Then why did you run off like that? August sighed and moved to tenderly cup my face. The night I burned the house, when my wife came to me in that dream, she had placed a tiny seed in my hand. Yes, I said waif. What's up, waif? Okay. His fingers delicately stroked my temple. She said it was time to start a new life. August's eyes filled with marvel as his hand trailed down to my belly, softly running his palm against it. It is only now that I am fully able to grasp the depth of her gesture. So, what are you saying? That you think she had something to do with this? Yes, I believe so. Though the reasoning behind how it is even possible escapes me. This world is mysterious and incomprehensible, and we are only vessels Jezebel. I'm having a way with words tonight. Rampage Rhino, what's up, dude? How are you doing? Or how are you tonight? I am well, thank you. Madam, hi. Thank you for the birthday gift, Atkinson. I love it. You are quite welcome. Happy belated, because it was yesterday, birthday, Madam Algorithm. Woo! Wait, do I still have... Hold on. I don't know if this is going to work, so if it does, great. If it doesn't, I am sorry. I gotta check to see if I still have this. There you go. Happy birthday. It is still on the screen. Did I break it? Oh, nope, there it goes. Okay. Yep. Madam had a birthday yesterday, and I got to help with the celebration. Woo! She's finally old enough to drink. I'm just kidding. I have no idea how old she is. Right. Where was I? Vessels. Yes. Right. There we are. I sat up and pulled my legs to my chest, gazing out the window. The full moon had begun her slow ascent into the night sky, as if she were heavy with her own child growing within. Perfectly round and swollen with light, bathing the hills in an ethereal glow. Wow. I think we were talking about waifs. Nope, we're past that actually. Thank you. Why didn't you share all of this with me earlier? You just froze on me, August. It was super sweet. Oh my god, yes, I'm old enough to drink now. Now. His hand reached for mine in the darkness, the warmth of his touch curling between my fingers. I am sorry. I needed time to process everything. In that moment, the weight and meaning of it overwhelmed me. The idea of a child holds memories of pain for me as well. The heavy grief my wife and I carry together. It is one that never leaves you. I gave his hand a gentle squeeze, watching as a cool breeze slipped through the windows and played with his hair. I searched out his eyes in the dim light. I'm so sorry you lost your child. August pulled me close to him, reaching up and threading his fingers through my tangled strands. I never thought I would be given this opportunity again. A fervent joy danced within his gaze as his lips pressed against mine, his voice soft and full of reverence. Such an incredible miracle this is, Jezebel. Okay, well, he's happy. So that's good. He's happy now. We've come to another break in the story. This one is a bit longer. By the way, Jennifer, I think it's pretty cool how you've changed the longer breaks for each section of the book. So part 1 had its own fancy long break. Part 2 had its own integral long break. And part 3 also has its own long break. You didn't just use the same one over and over. So, kudos to you. Oh, yeah, slightly. There you go. You don't own that ball. Okay. Well, feel free to buy some. I sat in my studio, the hum of summer filtering in through the window. My fingers trailed down the length of the clay, molding the rounded paws of the sculpture I was working on. August rapped gently on the door, waiting for my response before he entered. His warm hands fell upon my shoulders, then down my back, his touch pulling out the tension within my muscles. "Is that a bear I see?" I turned to him, grabbing a cloth from the table and wiping the clay from my hands. "Yes, it came to me in a dream recently." August pulled up a stool next to me, taking in the rounded form halfway to completion. "You know, the Native Americans believed that when a bear came to you in a dream, it meant that you were to become a healer." "Really?" "Yes. Bear medicine is powerful. It represents strength and the ability to transform oneself." "And what do you dream about?" He looked at me, the sunlight reflecting on his face, illuminating the haunting blue of his eyes. "I dream of the wild places within myself, tangled jungles, deep canyons, and the ocean. A raven is always there, watching me. My dream companion, in a way, reminding me of the vastness of thought, I suppose." Goosebumps ran along my skin as he spoke, remembering the sculpture I had started long ago before I met him. The raven with the penetrating gaze that had haunted my dreams for weeks. August stood up and walked to the corner of the room where my work sat displayed on a shelf. He picked up the sculpture of the pregnant woman I had just finished, running his fingers down the swell of her belly. "When was it that you began to sculpt?" "It was right after my accident. An art teacher of mine thought it would be a good outlet." August nodded. "Smart teacher." He held my sculpture, his face full of wonder. "But does it ever occur to you, Jezebel, that you may in fact be a channeler?" "What do you mean?" August walked back. Worked? He worked? No. August walked back to where I sat, cradling the woman in his hands. "You sculpt images that mainly come from your dreams, correct?" I nodded, my eyes resting on the woman in August's hands. "Our dreams are more than just our mind's subconscious meanderings. They hold keys to our future as well. When you are able to observe them closely, they can, in turn, become predictions. We all have this ability within us. You sculpt what you dream. Therefore, you are putting consciousness intent into that energy." Well, if that's true, then maybe my book that I wrote, called Final Earth, is going to be really scary. "So, are you saying that my dreams can predict the future? Or that I'm able to manifest the future from my dreams?" August ran his hands up my arm, moving to brush away a strand of hair from my face. "For you, I think it may be a little of both." My hands fell to where that faint flutter of life swam within me, musing over the potential. "Do you think this child would be born like you?" August knelt in front of me, cupping the gentle rise of my stomach in his hands, his eyes full of veneration. "I honestly don't know. Only time will give us those answers." Time indeed. We have a small break in the story here. That evening, I found August in the kitchen gazing pensively out the window. Wrapping my arms around him, I rested my head against his back. "What are you thinking about?" He turned to me, coiling his fingers deep into my hair as he brushed his lips lightly across mine. "I will be needing an embrace soon." His eyes burned into me with the unspoken question that had been hovering between us for days now. I pulled away from him, seeking solace in the darkness outside. "I don't think I can do it, August. I don't think I can watch you with another woman." He sighed, a look of disappointment gathering. "I had a feeling you were going to say that." Moving close to him, I trailed my hands down his arm. "Why can't you just embrace me this time?" August shook his head as his hand went to rest gently on my stomach. "At this point, I fear it may deplete our child, and I do not want to risk putting any stress on you or the baby." "You think something would happen to our child if you embrace me?" A flicker of sorrow flashed across the surface of his features. "Yes. The child may become weakened, which would potentially compromise this pregnancy." August reached up to cup my face, tenderly running his thumb along my cheek. "I have already lost a child once, and I cannot bear the thought of something happening to this one." I nodded, understanding the heavy implications as my heart sank and my insecurity gathered like the dark clouds upon the horizon of my mind, obscuring the sunlight between us. There was no way around this barricade. I had to find a way to accept this as a part of who he was. But I didn't know if I had the fortitude. Tears of frustration welled up inside, and I allowed them to trickle down my cheeks, bathing my skin with the bitterness of my confliction. "Jezebel." August's words came out choked as he caught my tears with his fingers. "What is it you fear will happen when I embrace another?" "I don't know. I guess the thought of you getting pleasure from someone else?" Taking a deep breath, I fumbled with the buttons on his shirt, trying to find the words. "It makes me feel like I'm losing you somehow." August gripped my arms, pulling me tightly against him. His voice in my ear was somber and filled with fervent intensity. "The pleasure for me is an arrangement born from necessity. It is only you who stir the embers of my desire." His hands cupped my face, his eyes blazing with that fire that always managed to burn away my reservations. I had to duck out for a moment. "We're having a beautiful sunset tonight." "Oh, you lucky duck. It's nothing but been stormy and rainy and cloudy here pretty much most of the day." "You and no one else. You cannot lose me, Jezebel, for my heart is bound to you. How can I make you understand this?" His breath was warm against my cheek as he softly brushed away the remnants of my tears. "Embracing another is not something I choose to do." "I know." I tangled my fingers in his hair, allowing the heaviness within me to step aside, making room for the tentative footsteps of acceptance to enter. August pressed his forehead against mine, his eyes pleading. I want there to be nothing but transparency between us. My words became a long sigh as he enfolded me in the sincerity of his reassurance. Me too. And then there's another break. This time a longer break. October came, and with it the crisp autumn mornings which wove themselves around the vineyard, coating the grapes in a fine layer of frost. The leaves in the vineyard had turned a golden russet shade. It was the time of vendemmento. You know, sometimes I think I can just see the word in Italian and then just say it. And then my brain goes, nope. The time of vendemmia. The grape harvest. Workers from town would arrive in the early morning, their hands deftly cutting away at the bunches of grapes and placing them into woven baskets. I accompanied them in the vineyards with August, the rich scent of ripe fruit mingled with earth, filling my senses as I cradled the deep purple clusters in my arms. The sunlight warmed my back as I worked, listening to the melodious cadence of the men speaking in Italian around me. I loved their language, which was filled with such emotion and intensity. It was as if they bared the depths of their souls with every lush syllable. Dew still clung to the leaves, catching the rays of sun like tiny prisms of light, which scattered against my fingertips as August stood beside me, loading grapes into the large basket between us. When I was a boy, this place was my refuge. He turned to me as he spoke, his face full of an emotion that appeared tangled and overgrown, but longing to be released. I used to hide here among the vines, allowing myself to disappear until all that was left was the hush of the wind against the leaves, soothing me like a lullaby. August's words carried a heavy sadness that pulled at me. What were you hiding from? My father. His eyes grew dark for a moment as he reached out. Can you guys hear that? The cat was going nuts. He does this every night. It's like he's looking for everybody, even though he knows exactly where we are. Okay. Animals. Right. Back to the sincere moment. His eyes grew dark for a moment as he reached out to pluck a strand of grapes, cupping the ripe fruit gently in his palm. I didn't want to press. I knew I was not the only one who stood beside childhood memories that were painful and hard to share. I only hoped in time he would let them out of their locked cage for me. I placed my hand on his arm, rousing him from his thoughts. I'm sorry you had to hide from your own father. We all end up hiding from something at one point in our lives. It is what you find while doing so that makes the experience meaningful. And what did you find? He's just going nuts. Anyway. Rocket. Meow apologies. A smile pulled at the corners of his mouth, his eyes spilling into me with a warm light. I found my own peace. A place I could reach for when the world around me grew too loud. I sighed, allowing his words to settle over me. All the years I spent desperately running from my own pain, only to find that it sat beside me the whole time, quietly waiting for a chance to speak. I wonder if I have found that place. Can you all hear this? If I had a spray bottle, I would use it. But I don't. I don't have any treats for the cat. I wish I had a BB gun. Just kidding. Just kidding. He's not in here, but he's close enough where his meows echo through the room like a siren because of a tornado. It's ridiculous. Right. If I had some Benadryl, I would give some to my beagle. Yeah, I bet. Let's see. They're in the field, they're talking. Yes, I believe so, amor mio. August pulled me to him, resting my back against his chest, his breath like a warm caress in my ear. It has always been inside you. The sudden sound of geese overhead cascaded down through the valley, calling out to one another in their wild, sorrowful melody, just like my cat right outside my freaking door. I tilted my head up and watched the rhythmic movement of their formation glide across the sky. A stillness washed over us as August's hands delicately ran over the swell of my belly, his touch reverent and deep, paying homage to the place where life grew patiently within. What? What do you want? Come here. Now he's in here. He won't let me pet him. He just wants to meow his head off. Come here. We're at a small break in the story, by the way. Come on. Come say hi. Or don't. I'm trying to get him up here so that you guys can see him. Hey. Come here. Rocket, come here. Nope, he does not want to be picked up right now. He might jump up, he might not. We'll see. If he does, I will pause and introduce the kitty. Or reintroduce for some of you. Sitting beside the warm crackle of the evening fire, my feet rested in August's lap. His hands gently pulled out the tension as my lips hovered over the steam rising from my tea. A soft rap upon the front door jostled the comfortable silence between us. "Let me get that," August said, shooting me a smile as he rose from the couch and strode over to the door to answer. "Clyda, it is good to see you. Please come in." I turned my head to see a tall woman standing in our doorway. Long black hair framed skin the color of porcelain. She had an enchanting, haunting beauty about her, and the way she looked at August made my heart lurch within my chest. They stood there for a moment, hands clasped tightly together, seeming to gaze at one another in a sort of silent reverence, as if they were speaking without words. Who is this, August? My voice broke the intense stillness between them, and Clyda's dark, ochre eyes fell on me. And this must be Jezebel. She swept past August and crossed the room to where I sat beside the fire. Bending down, she took my hands in hers. They were cool and incredibly soft like silk. The faint, spicy scent of amber drifted around her. It is such an honor to meet you at last. August has spoken so deeply of you. Jezebel, this is Clyda. She is the midwife we talked about. Rising from the couch, I gave her a hesitant smile. It's nice to meet you as well. Super! What's up, dude? How you doing? Super also had a birthday not long ago. That's 2 people in here that have been celebrating. Woo! Clyda gestured toward the stairs. Why don't we go upstairs? You can make yourself comfortable, and I can see how that baby of yours is doing. I nodded as she shot me a look filled with warmth, allowing her to lead me up to the bedroom. Interesting. I sat perched against pillows on the bed, while Clyda slowly ran her stethoscope down the taut rise of my stomach, listening for the rhythmic murmur of the heartbeat within. The child is strong. Her gaze fell on me. I do not foresee any complications with this pregnancy. How can you tell? Just by hearing the heartbeat? I pulled myself up to a more comfortable sitting position as the child shifted lightly inside me, like a delicate flutter. I had begun to feel these gentle movements more frequently. They always brought on a profound sense of awe. I am a veil lifter, Jezebel. I can see beyond the physical dimensions that separate us. Kind of like a human X-ray. She winked at me. How long have you known August? I tentatively asked, placing my hand over the swell of my belly. A very long time. Clyda's eyes flickered with an emotion I could not place as she moved to tuck her stethoscope back into her bag. I must admit, though, I was extremely surprised when he contacted me regarding your pregnancy. Her tone was serious as her eyes pierced mine, seemingly full of questions. Being able to conceive like this has been historically unheard of. I glanced down at my fingers as they tentatively ran across the bedspread. A rising defensiveness washed over me as I wondered if she was implying that I was lying about the child being his. Yes, August has told me all this. Her hand reached over to rest on my knee, giving it a light squeeze. Jezebel, I know this child has been created by the love between you two. Her eyes grew soft, distilling my discomfort. When August's wife traveled to others, she always left a gift of some sort for them. It is no surprise to me that she would leave August with the greatest gift of all. the ability to give you a child. I looked up to see a smile spreading across her face, filling me with a warmth born from hope and the rich promise of new life. Would you like to know the gender? Yes, I would. My words came out in a breathless rush of anticipation. Okay, chat. Boy or girl? Cast your votes now. Jennifer, author, you are obviously not allowed to comment. Because you already know. Amlas says girl. Jennifer says drumroll. Stump Mama's Mama says girl. Kay says definitely a girl. Wow. No male, no boy lovers in the house right now? Come on. Jeez. Wow. Even Super says a girl. Jeez. There's Rhino. One boy. We got like 1,000 girls. One boy. Let's find out. We met her already? Oh, that's right. We did, didn't we? Dang it. Gave it all away. Shoot. Yep, you're right. We did. Well, that went well. I totally forgot about the little girl. Just whoosh. Yeah. Okay. Clyda's eyes twinkled as she leaned in close to me, speaking in a whisper as if this knowledge were a delicately beautiful secret between the two of us. This child will be a boy. I'm just kidding. A girl. You had one job. You know, there's a lot. Okay, look. There's a break in the story, so we're going to take a moment here. This book is really well written because Jennifer has been able to take different times of the story and relate them back to each other in an effortless weave. But there's so many of those details that I sometimes forget. Especially when we're only reading once or twice a week. And we had to take one of those nights off. So this book is being etched into my brain. I love it. Good. I'm glad. And I'm sure that makes Jennifer just as happy, if not more so. This sounds like a you problem. It really is. I'm not denying it. Proud of you remembering. Yep. Shows you're paying attention. Good. Okay, I was just a test actually, and you all passed. Congratulations. Does anyone remember Clyda from part 2? Do you? Do you remember Clyda from part 2? Anybody? I believe they met at the big... Was it the gathering thing? Did they meet at the gathering? Is that where I'm remembering it from? Pretty sure. Yes, Jezebel met her at the gathering. See? Nailed it. Yeah, she did not like the original Jezebel. That's right. She was very heartbroken. You're putting my brain to shame tonight. Snooty, yes. Jealousy galore. Anyway. We only have about a page and a half until the chapter That was the other lady? Oh wait, Clyda was the nice one. She was the one that was like, don't worry about her. She's fine. She was the taller one. Yeah. Okay. Moving on. I lay in bed with August while his lips trailed lazily from the sensitive peak of my nipples down to the slope of my belly. He suddenly stopped and rose to meet my eyes. No, Jezebel. Clyda and I were never lovers. August? I slapped his arm playfully. Stop reading my mind. He chuckled as he bent down to nibble playfully at my ear. I am sorry, but I know the question has been eating away at you, though you did not want to ask. His eyes were teasing as he spoke. Why you insist on tormenting yourself, I will never know. So, what is the story between you two then? August settled himself beside me, his fingers gently sweeping through the strands of my hair. Hey, the cat's back. Come here. Unreal. We've been close friends for many years. She required my assistance long ago, and in turn, helped me when I needed it the most. Well, she's very beautiful. I raised my eyebrow at him. I'm surprised nothing ever happened between you two. She never stirred my soul, Jezebel. Really? And why is that? August sighed as his hand slid down and rested gently on the curve of my lower back. I feel many things for Clyda, respect and admiration being high on the list. But does one really know what it is that makes our soul long to dance with another? To feel an emotion that is so raw, it makes you want to weep. Like what you felt with your wife. August's eyes flashed with a sudden sorrow, and I instantly regretted the question which had tumbled out unguarded from my mouth. I could not seem to shake the notion that I would always be living in the shadow of a woman I knew I could never measure up to. And the familiar claws of insecurity gripped me once more, desperately seeking the validation of his love. August leveled me with his gaze, his voice becoming a smoky whisper. It is you that overwhelms me with emotion, Jezebel. It is the reason I left and why I returned. His fingers trailed down my cheek, resting lightly on my lips. My wife will always have a place in my heart that I carry reverently within me. But there is no comparison. She was a part of my past, while you and this child. His hand slipped down to cup the taut rise of my stomach, gently tracing over my skin. You and this child are my future. This cat's about to meet his future demise. August's lips met mine, his kiss like an electric current as he wrapped me up in his arms, stilling my trembling thoughts and caressing the delicate spaces within me. My heart reached out for him, warm and open, ready for whatever the future had waiting for us. And that future will be Chapter 6, because that was the end of Chapter 5. Ba-ba-da-ba. Well. Other than some perfectly timed interruptions, I think that went rather well. How's everybody doing? Guys doing okay? She knows that means a lot in my world. Wait, hold on. What'd I miss? Clyde is cool. Good and kind of sleepy. Good. I mean, there's a lot to this book. There's a lot of emotion. There's a lot of tension, shall we say. But the goal here is to relax. So, if you're relaxed, I'm doing my job. Good tension, though. Oh, yes. Yes, indeed. Amlas is loving it. Mama's doing well. Great. That's all good stuff in my book. The only thing that I'm not doing well about is my throat. I don't know if it's because of the smoke that we're getting from Super's fire or what. But my throat the past couple days is starting to irritate me. I have an idyllic memory and Kay is putting me to shame with her memory tonight. Oh boy. Rampage is like, wow. Super's like, I don't smoke. I was going to say the air quality here has been crap. My lungs and throats feel it. Yeah. It's a bummer. I can't even imagine what it's like from the source. Like, it's got to be intense. Yeah, breathing hasn't been fun due to the smoke. No, I bet not. I have brain damage, so that's what she's in awe over. Okay. That makes more sense now. Well, you're batting a 10 out of 10 tonight, Kay. It's not great. Yeah, I bet it's not, man. It's like a haze here that won't go away. There's a haze here too, and I'm in Iowa. When it rains, the air outside feels fantastic because it's had a chance to kind of move it out of the way. But as soon as the rain's done, you can almost see it blanket the sky and everything around you. It's weird. It almost kind of gives you like an apocalyptic kind of feel, like, you know, a deserted town. The air thick with ash. You know, that kind of vibe. Just maybe not quite as drastic or dramatic. So, near Chicago and bad here too. Yeah. I'm on the eastern side of Iowa, so not too far from Illinois. Welcome to Colorado in the summer. At least western Colorado. Right. We could really smell the smoke yesterday and today. Yeah, that sounds about right. 'Tis quite thick. Although I haven't actually heard how the fighting of the fire is actually going. Wait, what did you send me, Purple? Sunset? I know it's not the same, but it's pretty. Wow. That's nice. Thank you for sending that. That's some good stuff. Yes, I'm from Southern Oregon, and every summer is like this. It's hazy here, and every year there are always wild fires going on. Ugh. Wildfires are just not great at all. Like, ever. There's nothing good about a wildfire. Obviously. But it has so many side effects and issues and... just, it's sad. This fire stuff is new for us. We don't really ever experience this. Wow. Well, I hope it doesn't become a normal thing. Like in California, they get a lot of fires. Mount Kirkjafell. Kirkjafell. Yeah, Kirkjafell. Sure. In Portugal, it's a normal thing. How could you get used to that, though? I mean, I guess you would just by muscle memory of it all, I guess. But... So for me, I'm kind of used to it. Well, I, for one, am not. Hi, Paige. Yeah, it really is. A few years ago, a fire swept through 2 towns right by us. We had to evacuate. It was really scary. Wow. Jeez. That does sound scary. Very scary, but the smell, I'm assuming you meant the smell, reminds me of Portugal. A little bit of solace in that then. So many people lost their homes. Oh, I bet. I can only imagine. It's awful. Instead of fires here, we just get tornadoes. Woo. They're there one moment and gone the next. And they leave behind everything. Okay. We are going to read one more chapter because my throat is getting quite irritated. And I don't want to force it, if that makes sense. So let's read chapter 6. And then we'll call it an evening. So chapter 6 of part 3 puts us on page 272 of the printed copy. So here we go. Let's get into it. Late winter crept across the valley like a wet, grey blanket. Through the living room window, the vineyard stood bare below me. Rows of tangled limbs shrouded in misty rainfall, tolerantly awaiting spring's verdant growth. The silence that descended upon the land was full of a quiet longing that pulled at me. I was large and heavy now, my stomach stretched wide and unyielding. Lines traversed along my belly, reminiscent of a road map that no amount of creams helped diminish. The child inside tumbled and kicked, keeping me up at night with her nocturnal ballet. I marveled at her strength and incessant movement, like a tiny boxer enamored with her own limbs. I shuffled to the couch and eased myself down onto the plush cushions. The sound of rain on the tile roof was a steady and lulling melody. Amiko's head suddenly appeared on what was left of my lap, his weepy brown eyes imploring me for a pet. I patted the space next to me, and he eagerly jumped up, circling twice before he curled into himself and settled against me with a contented sigh. I love it when dogs do that. They just circle around, and then, okay, I'm good. I picked up one of the books that lay scattered in front of me on the coffee table, entitled The Eternal City, The History of Rome. Excuse me. August had introduced me to the world of history and politics. He was an avid reader, and our bookshelves were crammed full of knowledge that I had begun to devour with rapidly growing enthusiasm. The sound of the front door shutting sent Amico scrambling to greet August, his paws skidding across the marble floor. I looked up from my book, shooting him a wiry smile. "Did you enjoy yourself?" August watched me from the doorway, his hair wet and curling from the rain. "You know I do not do this for my own pleasure." "Whatever. Just please go take a shower first." I waved him off with a quick flick of my hand before glancing back down to my book. He stood there for a moment, in tense silence. I could feel his eyes resting on me before he turned from the room. The steady sound of his footsteps filled the silence as he retreated up the stairs, followed by the gentle rush of water running through the pipes. Though I had given August the green light to embrace others, I found myself growing more reproachful of his frequent trips outside the house. I tried to accept this reality as best I could, knowing that this was just a part of who he was, a small compromise in our strangely unique but incredibly satisfying relationship together. I wanted to believe that our love was enough to slake the jealous beast within me, but it was stronger than I gave it credit for, and I could not stop the resentment that slipped out whenever he came back from an embrace. With a heavy sigh, I pulled myself up from the couch, slowly making my way up the stairs. I paused in the doorway to the spare bedroom, which now held a crib, a changing table, and other various implements of childlike delight. Over the crib hung a mobile made of crystal stars I had picked up at a craft fair in town. When it caught the light, it sent a dazzling array of fragmented color across the room. The door to the bathroom opened. The steam billowed out as August emerged in the hallway with a towel wrapped around his waist, droplets of water running down his bare chest. He looked at me blankly. "Is that better?" I shook my head and moved toward him. He stared down at me as I reached up to place my hand on his chest. "You know, I never used to consider myself a jealous person." "Well, Jezebel, you are." His voice was clipped as he stepped past me into the bedroom. August bringing some sass. His words stung, and I grappled around for a retort, but could find none. I followed him into the room and eased myself down onto the bed. "You're mad?" August turned to me, the blue of his eyes flashing. "No, I'm not mad, Jezebel. I am just tired. Tired of wondering what mood you are going to be in when I get home." I stared at him as a rush of hot anger coiled around me. Oh, dude doesn't know when to quit, I'm telling you right now. She is pregnant. She is not happy. Let it go. What mood? What mood do you expect me to be in? Jesus Christ, I'm carrying your child, and you are off embracing other women. The silence that fell between us felt sharp as pain flickered across his features. It's called hormones, guy? I know, right? August ran his hand roughly through his hair. His voice choked. "Jezebel, please. I understand that we are navigating a delicate situation between us. But I did offer for you to be a part of this because I would prefer it if you were. I want nothing more than to be able to share this experience with you. But you declined." I grabbed his hand as he moved past me. my anger dissipating as quickly as it came. The emotions within me vacillated like waves, pulling me under and spitting me out again. I know we discussed this. I'm sorry. I just wish I didn't have to share you with anyone else. He does have his flaws. He is a dude, you know. I don't care when he was born. He's still a guy. He bent down on the floor beside me, a sudden look of tenderness softening his features. Do not ever be sorry for having feelings that are valid. I want you to know that I am yours, that when I touch another woman, it is only you I am thinking of. Okay, because that always works. August smoothed my hair back, gently tucking a strand behind my ear. What can I do to make this easier for you? The unclothed proximity of him caused a delicate flutter inside me, and I found my eyes trailing downward. Jezebel. August cupped my chin, a teasing look in his eye. Focus, please. Don't worry, baby. Don't worry, baby. When I have sex with her, I'm thinking about you, I swear. That's funny. I can't right now. I pulled him onto the bed, and with one stroke of my hand down the length of his back, he responded and grew erect before me. I didn't know if it was the pregnancy or the fact that he always seemed to possess a potent carnal energy that radiated off him after an embrace. But I suddenly needed to reclaim the distance that loomed above us. You are deflecting right now, and you know I cannot say no to you, he said with a groan. Then don't. My voice came out in a tangled gasp as I slipped off my pants and I straddled him. The feel of him inside was an acute shock of pleasure that made my eyes roll back, filling me until there was no room for anything else in my head. I needed him to annihilate all the insecurities that hissed in my ear, as if the very act of making love could rectify the barriers between us. August remained passive underneath me for a moment, regarding me with a measured look. I think we need to talk about this. He clutched my arms tightly, struggling with his composure as I began to rock slowly against him. Jezebel. My name spilled out in a disjointed moan as he suddenly gripped my hips and plunged himself deeper into me. My God, you drive me so crazy. We became lost in one another, a blur of skin, lips, and heavy desire, as all the compromises and resolutions we could have spoken fell around us like shattered intentions. There was nothing left but our bodies, the miracle of our child within me, and the soft flush of our souls trembling beneath it all. It was in these moments with him that everything else slipped away, and my grappling ego retreated as the heavy magnitude of who he was engulfed every fragment of my being. The essence of him spilled into me like an ancient power that I desperately clung to, wrapping me up with the dazzling cords that wove us so intrinsically together. There's a break in the story. A slightly longer break. Spring came hesitantly. The sun teased the hills like a flirtatious kiss as the bloom of life delicately awakened from winter's languid sleep. The first push of the crocus dotted the landscape beneath my feet, peeking itself up through the soil, a vivid purple against the darkness of earth. I walked among the grapevines with August beside me, and Amico joyfully bounding ahead, the white of his tail flashing as he weaved in between the rows. "So, I know you don't speak about your family very much." My words came out hesitantly. "But I would really like to know the story of this place." Glancing up at him, I ran my hands over the heavy swell of my belly, feeling the sudden tight clench in my uterus, followed by the faint pulse of a cramp gathering within. These mild contractions had been happening for days, my body gently informing me that labor was close at hand. August sighed, his eyes flickering with the sadness as he looked out across the meadow. "I suppose my sorrow has not aged in the way I hoped it would. Growing up among the dark shadow of my father's anger and the frigidity of my mother's neglect did not bode well on my psyche. And I was very much still a child when I left this place, never speaking to my parents again. When I heard of their passing over a century ago, that is when I returned to restore the house, with the hopes of flushing out the tangled memories." "And have you?" He took my hand, threading his fingers through mine. "I have, though there are many things I wish I could have spoken to them. So many years wasted while they tucked themselves away behind the doors of their own private misery. I only hope they found some peace in the end." "I'm so sorry, August." I could see the burdensome weight of remorse gathering in his eyes, but the complexity of his past only seemed to solidify that endless strength he carried within him. Regret is a bitter medicine, but my parents taught me a valuable lesson. "And what is that?" August stopped walking and turned to me, swiping a strand of hair away from my face. "That anger, resentment, and fear is like a prison without a door. As long as you live within those walls, there is no escape, and one will never find redemption within its enclosure." "Sounds like your parents were as flawed as the rest of us." I smiled wanly at him. "But there are many different types of prisons we enclose ourselves in." Or wait, no, that's her talking. Just kidding. "But there are many different types of prisons we enclose ourselves in. Maybe we build these walls so that we can learn how to tear them down." August's gaze rested thoughtfully on me, taking in my words as his hand slipped up my arms, giving them a light squeeze. "You may be right about that, amor mio. For what is life without challenge?" It'd be a heck of a lot easier, just a thought. A sudden rush of warm water spilled from within me, sliding down my legs and trickling onto the ground beneath my feet. I sucked in a deep breath, filled with surprise as the reality of what was happening settled around me. "Jezebel?" Concern momentarily flashed across his face. "Are you all right?" "Yes." I looked up at him, my heart stirring with excitement as the reflection of the sky danced in my eyes. "My water just broke." "Oh boy, it's happening." Go time indeed. Short break in the story. The soft hush of evening light filtered through the window as I paced. Yep. I will do that. Thank you. Thank you. And another. You know what? Let's do it again. Sure. Delicious.
Is it hot in here? Are you hot? I mean, you are hot. I mean...
It is hot in here. Thank you, Stone Papa. The soft hush of evening light filtered through the windows as I paced around the house, my breath keeping time with the strong grip of contractions that had begun to cascade through my body. I saw that one. You didn't, you know, if it had been a couple seconds earlier, you would have got me. But it was a good try. Blast. Blast it all. The door opened and Clyda walked in, setting her bag of instruments down on the living room floor. Beside her lay the makeshift bed August had set up for the birth, with pillows arranged next to the roaring fire, reminiscent of a cozy nest. Wouldn't you be already really hot though? Like, would you need the fire? Just saying. Asking for a friend. When did your contraction start, Jezebel? Clyda's warm hands rested on the flush of my skin, her eyes scanning my belly to determine where the child lay inside. They started about an hour ago. I sucked in a deep breath as another wave of pain hit me, this time stronger than the one before, eliciting a low groan from deep within. I'm going to head out for the night. Hope you have a good night. Thank you, Mama. Mama House Gaming. There's 2 mamas in here. I appreciate you. I hope you have a great night. Thank you for being here. Good. She is interior, right where we want her to be. Clyda moved to her bag, retrieved her stethoscope, and placed a sheet over the couch, motioning for me to lie down. The cool metal of the instrument slid down my stomach as she listened to the heartbeat. The child is doing well, and it appears as if your contractions are about 8 minutes apart. So, we may have some time here. Her smile was like a warm, maternal blanket, easing the feeling of anxiety that had begun to creep up on me. Slipping on a pair of gloves, she gently raised my robe. I'm going to check you for dilation now. Tex, hello. I turned my head and met August's gaze as he sat beside the fire, calmly watching me with a look of adoration in his eyes. The sudden snap of Clyda removing her gloves jarred me from our silent moment. You are at about 6 centimeters, which means you're getting close to active labor. She stood up from the couch and nodded to August. I'll give you 2 some privacy, but I'll be in the other room if you need me. Time passed in hazy fragments as the contractions grew more intense and closer together. Clyda urged me to walk, so I paced from the kitchen to the living room while Amiko trailed behind. His wide eyes full of concern while his soft whimpers filled the silence between my own. When I grew tired of walking, August held me against him while I rocked and moaned beside the fire, sweat gathering on my skin while the gentle press of his hands upon my lower back calmed the tight band of pain ripping through me. Every so often, Clyda would materialize, checking vitals and dilation with a calm and steady hand, while August's comforting voice tethered me. We have another small break in the story. Clyda bent down beside us, the coolness of her touch like a soothing balm against the heat of my skin. You're at 10 centimeters. I believe it is time. August smoothed back my damp hair, his eyes full of anticipation as he leaned me against the sturdy hold of his chest and took my hands tightly in his. My entire body shook with a visceral force that stilled my breath and left me trembling as I rode the next contraction. I bared down, feeling the agonizing stretch of my body as it opened up to the violent rush of life inside. Every fiber within me screamed as I collapsed against August, panting and covered in sweat. "I can't," I gasped, my words broken and frantic. "I don't think I can do this." The sharp blade of fear pressed against my throat as I began to panic. The overwhelming magnitude of the pain was so raw, it clawed at every fiber of my being. August anchored me with his loving gaze. "You are already doing this," he ardently whispered. "This is only the mind telling you otherwise. Your strength is beside you. I can see it. And it is so beautiful." His soft kisses upon my brow became a gentle guide as my body prepared for the next surge within me. I knew I was no longer in control. The pulse of life had taken over. The light from the fire shimmered across Clyda's face in a dreamlike ripple as she hovered above us. "You are very close, Jezebel. Are you ready to meet your child?" A loud, primal wail, like that of a wild animal, erupted from deep inside me as the next contraction hit with such a force it was as if my entire body was going to split in two. I closed my eyes, surrendering myself to the depths, allowing it to carry me away until there was nothing left but the rigorous beating of my heart. Suddenly, the pain receded and was replaced by a rush of pleasure so acute it caused me to gasp in shock as the confusing but delicious relief of an orgasm cascaded through me, erasing all my discomfort and replacing it with a sweet kiss of ecstasy. Moaning in abandon, I clung tightly to August, who filled me with his elated smile, his eyes glistening as he spoke in a hushed tone of reverence. "You are tapping into the divine essence." Tears streamed down my face as our child slid out of me and into Clyda's waiting arms, the sharp sound of her tiny cry filling the room with life's fervent gasp. And that is the end of chapter 6. I popped in at the spicy time. You popped into her giving birth. So close. I mean, you know, to each their own. That was good. Funky, I can't with you. You're too much. Okay. Oh, this. You know, I'm gonna play this just for you right now, Funky.
Hey, aren't you a good girl?
Oh my gosh, that was so funny. Oh, it looks like the stream I was in for Carly is no longer a stream. She raided out. So there's that. Let's see. Just gonna check to see who we can raid. Paige is offline. And everybody quit. Alright then. We can find somebody else. Oh, perfect. I know who we're gonna raid. Alright. Thank you everybody for hanging out. We would normally do one more chapter, but my throat is a bit irritated and I don't want to make it worse. if I don't have to. Yes. Thank you for being here. I greatly appreciated all of you hanging in there, doing the puzzle, listening as I read, enjoying my oopses as I try to read. I almost asked for a sound alert like that. Oh my goodness. Good night, Kay. Good night, Jennifer. Good night, Purple. Good night, Mama. Good night, Super. Good night, everybody. We are going to raid out to Madam Algorithm. It was her birthday yesterday. Thank you for that raid message, Red. I did the wrong command. I did a... It's fine. There we go. Now there's a raid. Never watch alone. Stunting missing all the stuntisms. Mr. Thomas, thank you for being here. Good night, everybody. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your week into the weekend. We'll be back on Sunday, of course. But until then, take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. And have a great night.
Anything here? No? Just being stupid for no reason. Oops, my bad. Red Thorn, what's up? What is up? We closed our book and stuffed everything so we can raid you. Oh!